you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video, and welcome to the Gridiron. I just want to say thank you before I get started to anybody you're watching this video now. Thank you so much. Anybody subscribed to my channel, anybody maybe giving my videos a thumbs up, or anybody maybe left a comment at all, anything at all to help get me my channel up and off the ground, up and running. I greatly appreciate it. Anything you can do. So I just wanted to make sure I said thank you so much in advance. I saw an article on Giants Wire, and it says, I'll leave a link in the description box if you want to follow along with it. But it says Giants projected to be in decent salary cap shape over the next 3 years. And let's see, as far as Pro Football Focus shows the Giants in the top half of the league in terms of salary cap health. They have the Giants ranked at number 13. So I'll go over some of the good points and the bad points, you know. But, you know, this year we're pretty much, we got the guys on the team. You know, we really don't have much for us. We have like about $1 million or so. You know, a little more than $1 million, maybe $2 million at the most as far as salary caps. But, so we don't have much salary cap going into the season. So, it's going to be a little tough. Hopefully we don't get many guys hurt. But as far as next year, now the salary cap's, the ceiling, you can go up to $208 million, which is up over $25 million. All right, from this year. It's up 25.7. All right, from this year, which is good. But I mean, the way it was, like between last year, with the pandemic going around, the salary cap dropped. So it's the 208 next year is not really where it's supposed to be if we never had the pandemic. Period. But it is what it is. But the ceiling could possibly go up to 208. But according to over the cap, okay. The Giants already have $206.4 million in committed salaries for next year. All right, so, we don't have much at all room. What Kevin Abrams said, the assistant GM, Kevin Abrams said 2022 could be a little bit of a challenge. He said, going forward after that, he said, we should be a lot more decent shape. He said next year could be a little bit of a challenge, especially if you're looking at, like, we have only about 1.75 in salary cap space for next year. And we have 10 draft picks that we got to sign. So Kevin Abrams is going to have to get a little he's going to start getting with the pen. He's going to have to start doing some stuff with some numbers. He could let his imagination run a little wild there next year. Because you figure, I just saw Kyle Pitts signed a 4-year, $32.9 million contract with Atlanta. He was picked number 4. Right? His salary cap, I think, this year is like $6 million or somewhere around there, is what I saw online. But he just signed it, $32 million for 4 years. That's $8 million a year, right? And now the Giants next year got 2 first-round picks. Not saying we're going to have the 4th pick, which wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing, especially if you could turn that, if we either us or the Bears were that bad, we got to pick number 4, let somebody come up and get some more draft picks for it. That's fantastic. But just to be reasonable, just say the Giants, had 2 of the top 15 picks or so, right? You're probably looking at, $6, $7, $8 million just to sign those 2 guys, right? Then you have 8 other draft picks you got to sign. Basically anybody in the 3rd round on back is going to get $1 million or less, all right? So, the big heavy hitters would be in the 1st round, from the very beginning of the 2nd round, once you get toward the end of the 2nd round, it winds up being right around $1 million. But even still, if you got 8 guys and you got to sign them for, say, $800,000 each, you look like another $8 million. for those guys. So if you gotta, you might have to spend $15 million next year just to sign your draft class. I mean, if you only got $1 million or $2 million left, I mean, you're gonna have to start getting, creative with that. Kevin Ingram's gonna have to start getting pretty creative with his pen next year. Now, the Giants, okay, they call it active draft capital. They're over the next 3 years. They're number 2. Jacksonville's number 1 because Jacksonville has 10 picks next year. They have, I believe, 8 picks the following year. Then they got 7 picks after that. The Giants, so Jacksonville over the next 3 years have 25 picks. The Giants have 24. So that's why the Giants are number 2. So if you look at it, like the Giants, so it's 24 picks in the next 3 years. If there's say 50, obviously 53 guys on an active roster, right? If you pick 24 and you bring in 24, all right, that's close to half of your roster in the next 3 years. Now, the way it used to be in the past, I mean, I remember when I was growing up, the Giants might draft like say 10 guys, just throwing a number out there, back in the 70s. Well, I mean, you might have 3 guys make the team. I mean, some guys you never heard from ever again. Right? George Allen with the Redskins in the 70s, he was famous for just trading away all his draft picks. He didn't want anybody coming in at all who he would have to like coach up or coach, or teach the game. He wanted guys. He would trade away all his picks and get in veteran ball players who knew how to play. And all he had to do was just kind of cheer them, get them all excited and all, and he had a lot of success doing that. But he very rarely ever had a guy who he drafted make the team. He just didn't happen. Well, nowadays, I mean, the way it is with the salary cap, you draft 7 guys, you better make sure that almost all of them, if not all of them, make the team. It's very, very important. Now, just for example, like for next year, okay, part of the reason why, we have, such a small amount of salary cap left over is, like what I saw on I believe it was over the cap number, okay, for James Bradbury next year is $20.5 million. Leonard Williams, $26.5 million next year. Blake Martinez, $14 million. Adoree Jackson's $15.5. Kenny Golladay, $21.1 million. Those 5 guys, right, combined is about $98 million. Now, if the salary cap is $208, 98 is close to half. So you're paying close to half of the salary cap to 5 guys, and that's not even throwing in like Andrew Thomas, Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, and it kind of makes you wonder, are we going to be able to sign Evan Ingram, Will Hernandez, Lorenzo Carter, Jabrill Peppers? I mean, how are we going to sign any of those guys? The one nice thing is that if we can't sign, Evan Ingram, Will Hernandez, Lorenzo Carter, Jabrill Peppers, we can try our best to replace them in the draft next year because, reasonably speaking, we're probably going to have 5 out of the top 80 picks next year. So we, anybody if we can't sign Will Hernandez, we let him go. We should be able to grab a guard in the first, second, or third round. If we can't, re-sign Evan Ingram, we should be able to grab a tight end first, second, or third round. So we should be able to replace some of these guys, and we'll get not only younger, but we'll get cheaper too. But with over the cap, right, what they have for next year, we don't have any dead cap money, according to them. I was just according to this article here. All right, we have 47 guys signed. All right, and we have $2.7 million in cap space, but the salary cap only goes to the top 51 guys. The top 51 salaries on your team goes toward the salary cap. All right, so we have 47 guys signed. Okay. Now, if we signed 4 more guys to make the 51 that we need, for our salary cap, and we signed them for basically the league minimum, which is around $750,000, right? And we would be about $100,000 over the salary cap, as I say, and that's not including all the rookies that we have to sign. So we're going to have to do some, I say Kevin Abrams is going to have to do something. Now, hopefully it's not letting some guys go, but, have to maybe restructure some guys' contracts or, maybe extend somebody else's contract maybe another year and obviously bring it down. There's all kinds of ways to do things, but he's going to have to do something next year for sure. Now, the next year in 2023, all right, once again, according to, over the cap, we have no dead cap money, which is cool. The possible salary cap ceiling at Darnay was $225 million, okay? We have 24 guys signed, all right, so we still need to sign another at least 27 guys. So, according to them, we have $81 million in cap space, all right, which is, nice to hear, but we only have 24 guys signed. That $81 million is going to disappear awfully quick. Now, if you look at it like next year, okay, just to give you a ballpark figure, say the salary cap, it's not 208, say it goes down to 204, right? Well, the top 51 salaries on your team goes toward the salary cap. So 51 players, and if the salary cap is $204 million, that means each player on an average can make $4 million. All right, that sounds good, but what I'm saying is that next year, when you got James Bradbury making $20 million, well, basically that's 5 players right there. When you got Leonard Williams making $26.5 million, right? That's 6 guys, 6.5 guys. All right, you got Blake Martinez making $14 million. That's 3.5 players. You got Adoree Jackson making 15.5. That's almost 4 players. You got Kenny Golladay making 21.1. That's 5 players. So you see how it gets chewed up. That's why it's so important to hit on these draft picks. When you spend a draft pick on somebody, there's a good chance the guy's going to make the team. Really good chance, because not only you spent your draft pick on it, but you have to have the guy, because basically you need these guys. You need those $750,000, $800,000 guys. You gotta have them. You can't sign everybody. That's just the way it is. Now in 2024, once again, according to over the cap, we have no dead cap money in 2024. They're projecting the cap ceiling to be possibly around $256 million. We have $188 million in what they call effective cap space available, which sounds fantastic, but we only have 7 guys signed. So we got to sign a lot of guys. All right, so that 188 sounds pretty juicy, but it's going to get chewed up awfully fast, especially if we wind up, if Daniel Jones is the guy, all right, and we have to wind up signing him to what, maybe, I don't know, $30 million a year. He's not going to, unless he starts setting the world on fire this year, I can't see him giving him 35 or 40 million. But maybe possibly around 30 million a year. Now the good point about that, okay, is that if we do have to pay Daniel Jones, if we gotta pay him because he's the man, that's going to chew up the salary cap. So that's bad. But however, on the good side is that we got all those draft picks next year. So now we can start. Maybe we have to let some guys go, right? We can start replacing them with some draft capital. The bad part is that Daniel Jones isn't the guy we're going to save in the long run by not having to pay a quarterback, okay? But we're going to have to start using some of our draft capital to maybe move up in the draft and get a quarterback. There's no way next year, possible, with our salary cap way it is, one of 2 things is either we're going to draft a quarterback or we're riding it out with Daniel Jones, because we're not, without question, we can't take our 2 firsts next year or maybe the first in 2023 and give it to a team and get Aaron Rodgers. We can't, because we can't afford to get a $35 million cap hit from another player. So either we're going to be riding it out with Daniel Jones or we're going to be moving up in the draft with the picks that we have. But according to, over the cap and Pro Football Focus, we got, not next year, but after that, we certainly have some good times ahead of us as far as with our salary cap situation. Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. You guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo!